Hey, it's Andrew Brown. In this video, we're going to learn how to deploy a Kubernetes cluster using Kubernetes Engine, also known as GKE. So I made my way over to Kubernetes, but notice that right away it's going to ask me, if I go to Overview, it's going to ask me to enable the Kubernetes Engine API. So we're going to go ahead and activate that and give it a moment. And so now that that's activated, we'll go ahead and start creating ourselves a cluster. So I'm going to go here on the left-hand side. We're going to try to make a really simple cluster here because Kubernetes gets very complicated very quickly. I'm not working in it every single day, but it shouldn't be too hard for us to figure out. So let's go ahead and create ourselves a new cluster. Okay, we'll give that a moment. So welcome to the new cluster creator. Oh, they've changed it on me. Cool. They were always doing this here. So with Autopilot, GKE provisions and manages clusters underlying infrastructure. If you need more control over your configuration, we'll select switch to standard cluster. For now, we'll stick with Autopilot. That's not a bad idea. I kind of don't mind that. And yeah, of course, we know what that is doing. That's fine. So I'm going to go here and launch in Northeast 2, which is Toronto. We'll stick with Autopilot cluster here. We'll go down below. Choose a GKE cluster tier based on the complexity of your workload. And for if you need advanced features that improve productivity, reduce software deployment times. Okay. Let's go look at our additions. So we have standard tier, run containerized workloads at scale with GKE, includes Kubernetes features available to GKE users. Here we have other stuff. What could be in the enterprise one? Fully automated cluster, well, they both have those. And this is where it's different. So GitOps-based configuration management, a service mesh, managed policy controller, fleet-based management, multi-cluster ingress, a bunch of useful things, but we'll stick with standard here today. And we will go to our next step, which is fleet registration. So a fleet lets you logically group normalized Kubernetes clusters. And normalized Kubernetes clusters helping you up-level management from individual clusters to group clusters. We're only going to run a single cluster here today, so we're not going to register this. Then here we have our control plane access. So I would think that we would want DNS-based control access for simple, secure way to access control plane. Maybe we'll leave it alone for now. And then we have authorized network. So safeguard your operations and data. That might be something we might want to do later on. Creating our cluster. So the default network seems fine to me. The node subnet is the default. That seems fine to me. We're not going to be using private nodes here today, but you can imagine they're nodes that are private. We have some advanced networking options. I would probably not touch any of these because I'm not really good at this kind of stuff. Disable VPC firewall auto creation for load balancer services. No, we are fine. We'll go to advanced settings. And here we have rapid, regular, or stable. So use GKE features as soon as they're released. Regular or stable. I guess we'll go with regular. And oh, we have NVIDIA GPU manager. That'd be pretty cool. And so here we have a bunch of options we can enable. This is not too different from, I think, like EKS these days with Amazon, where it'll ask you, like, do you want to turn on any additional features? I'm not sure for this one we want to do anything additional, but it doesn't hurt for us to kind of scroll through here and see what we have. Yeah, I don't need a service mesh. I don't need backups. I don't need automation here today, so that's fine. We'll go review and create. So we have a standard cluster. We're not doing fleet registration. Access using DNS. No, but we will get access via IPv4 addresses, so that's fine. We're not going to bother with authorized networks. We're going to keep it nice and simple. And for the most part, most of these things, like obviously, are disabled, right? So yeah, we don't need a secrets manager. We don't need any of that right now. So we'll go ahead and create ourselves a cluster, and we'll give it a moment to create, okay? Or however long it decides to take, okay? And actually, while we're waiting on that, because I think it's creating, let's go take a look at GKE costs, because normally you pay, I believe, for the control plane. So we'll go GKE pricing. Right. At one point, I think they were free, but then at some point, I think they started charging for it. So includes automated cluster lifecycle management, pod and cluster auto scaling, priced at 0.10 cents per hour. So that's what we're paying per hour. And so we do this times 730, and we're going to get $73. So we have a base cost, not even running anything, just a base cost for the cluster of $73 an hour because that's what they need. And I think that's pretty standard now for any provider. There might be one like, I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but there's one that has a lower cost that is a third party. Civo might be more cost effective, but you know, running clusters is a lot of work, so that's not that big of a deal to understand that cost is there. But Kubernetes, Google is I would say, the most seamless, easiest platform to deploy on. It's been a while, but I remember this one was super, super easy. Usually the hardest thing is setting up an ingress controller, getting traffic into the cluster, and I remember this one was like dead simple. So hopefully that'll be the same experience, but they do expose a lot of the Kubernetes components, so it's very easy to figure this out. But we'll wait for that cluster to spin up, okay? All right, so our cluster is up. Let's go click into it. And because it's autopilot, I wonder if it's managing the nodes underneath with something like Cloud Run. Usually when you have these Kubernetes services that are managed by cloud service providers, they'll always have a managed version, and that will be based on their serverless container infrastructure. But I'm looking through here, and I'm just trying to make sense. Okay, where is the nodes being managed here? And so I'm thinking, we have a lot of information here, but I'm thinking that it's probably using Google Cloud Run. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. So the idea is that we probably want to deploy something. I wonder if this just takes a deploy script. There's a YAML file that you normally feed into here. And so here, deploy atonement is an app configuration for how to deploy. Yeah, so this looks like it's just a deployment. Okay. And I'm just going to go through this a little bit, and then we'll figure out something we can deploy, right? Because here we're going to get container details right away, and so it's going to want to know some stuff. And if we view the YAML there, we go, yep. So this is our standard configuration file or our deployment file. I actually have an entire Kubernetes course, though. To say I remember it all is a different story, but I'm not sure. It's not letting me look at the whole contents here, but here we can kind of see what it's doing. So what do we have? We have here Nginx, so it's going to deploy Nginx, and we have 3 replicas, so I imagine it's going to deploy it 3 times, and then we have a horizontal pod autoscaler, so that's going to allow us to horizontally scale and, I guess, load balance across those 3 instances if we were to go with that standard thing. But let's go to our container details, if we can get there, container details. And so right away, it already has Nginx selected, which is fine. We can do that, but it'd be nicer if we had some kind of hello world application. So I'm going to go over to Claude and just say, like, what is a sample web server container we can deploy to Kubernetes cluster? Like, I'm just trying to give an example of one that already has a web page loaded into it. Maybe there's a sample app. Here it's trying to do Nginx, which is fine. And that's literally basically the same, right? Here it's saying that. It has the load balancer in here, but it's a little bit different. So what I don't know in this example is there actually any actual what do you call it, stuff in like example code in here, but I can't see because if you notice here, this is all buggered up. Oh, here we go. Maybe that might help. Okay, so this is the whole thing. So what do we have? Yeah, horizontal pod scaler, and if we go over to this one, you can see that we have a little bit more information. So they have a config map. Here we're configuring the server, and then we have an index.html page. So we could try that, but we'll go back over to here for a second. Okay, and yeah, I guess we can go to our next option here, next expose. Expose deployment as a new service. So this option creates a Kubernetes service, a service that lets the deployment receive traffic. And so this is something we might want to do and set the ports on here. But for now, let's just go ahead and try to deploy the default here, the Nginx cluster. It's not going to be really useful because if we're not reaching it, it's not going to do a whole lot for us, right? But we'll give it a moment and see how that deploy goes. All right, so looking at our deployment here, we can see deployment 1, pod errors, unscheduled, does not have minimum availability. It says that some of these will resolve maybe over time as it deploys, and there we go, we give it a refresh, and it's less of an issue because I guess those resources are becoming available. And wow, they've really improved this. Like, you have everything you want nearby, logs, events, everything. I cannot tell you how easy and nice this is for us to be able to find information. It's probably, again, one of the best for deploying Kubernetes in terms of being able to manage it. Generally, the way you interact with the server is with kubectl. And so I guess here, maybe they're giving us the commands for kubectl. Let's go up here. Does kubectl, is it already installed here in Cloud Shell? If it is, that'd be really, really nice. Normally, you'd have to install that locally. It's not really too hard, but kubectl is a generic CLI command that you use to interact with it. So here, Let's take a look here. G-Cloud clusters, auto, etc., etc. So we have a bunch of stuff that gets the credentials, and we'll go ahead and hit enter. And so it says kubectl get deployment, whatever. Okay, so this is getting the deployment information. So if we type in kubectl, is it already available? It is, cool. So I never installed it, it's already here. My kubectl knowledge is a little bit rusty right now, so I will brush up on it in the next video so we can do a little bit more with it. But what can we do with our cluster right now? Probably not a whole lot. The question is like, where is our actual nodes that we're managing, right? And I think again, because we're using Autopilot, that it is probably running in Google Cloud Run or something like that. So let's try to figure out where that is. So under workloads, that's the stuff that we just deployed here. I want to figure out what is this running on. Right, so we see 3 pods out of etc. But what are the underlying nodes? Nodes is the servers that it's running on. And so I'm carefully looking through this and trying to figure out where it is deployed to. Details. All right, so I was trying to figure out what is it using underneath, and so I guess it might be using Google Cloud Run underneath, but basically it's fully managed. It's just completely abstracted away. So we're not thinking about the nodes whatsoever. We might want to actually deploy a cluster with nodes just so that we have an idea of what the underlying compute could be if you were managing it yourself. But you know what might be useful is if we go through this quick start, because I noticed here is that they actually deploy a hello world example for a workload. And that might be really useful for us so that we can actually see something, right? Because right now we have Nginx, and this workload is not exposed. There's no way to actually access it. And we might be able to edit it after the fact. Let's go take a look here. Yeah, we'd be manually editing the YAML file, which is fine. But you know, if we're not super comfortable with that, I think we might want to go ahead and just deploy a new resource, okay? So I'm gonna go over to my workloads. It doesn't really matter if it's workloads or whatever. We're just gonna go ahead and hit deploy. And so this will be hello world. Now they're using the command or Cloud Shell, but we're just gonna use the interface here because it'll probably be a bit easier if we do that. We'll go to our container details, which is next, over here. And here we are going to select an existing container. Or maybe just give it a path. So I'm going to go here and enter the image path for here. You can also enter the name of a public image on Docker Hub. I like that idea. So we'll go back over to here. And so this is a public image. It's not on Docker Hub, but it is a full address. So it might take it if we do this. Okay, so I'm going to try that. That might not work. And so it says a simple hello world app is packaged with a single container. And then we'll go to the next step for expose. And maybe it is telling us to do this in the actual interface. It just doesn't have screenshots. So we'll go over to the expose option here, next. And we'll expose it. We'll see what ports we have to map. So leave port 80, leave port to 80. And then the target port is going to be 8080. So target port is what it's actually running on, like the actual container. And then port 80 is what you want to map it to. Obviously going to be TCP. And I would assume it'd be load balancers or option. Let's take a look here, 8080. It doesn't say to change it, so I'm going to assume that we're just going to create a load balancer with external IP address. And so this is just different ways that we can expose access to it. I'm going to just tell you, like, this normally is a huge headache, like unbelievably hard. So the fact that it's just going to deploy that load balancer for us and give us ingress into that is going to be super nice if that just works. So we'll give that a moment here, okay? All right, so that new app container is deployed. Again, note that we have 3 up. So the more that we're running, the more that's going to cost us, of course. And so what we're looking for is that external endpoint. And so down below here, it's created a service, and it's a load balancer type, and then we have that endpoint. So if we open this up, hopefully it just works. So fingers crossed. And there we go. So again, I'm just telling you, this is generally super pain in the butt on either Azure or AWS. And I just cannot believe how easy this is because they're just really abstracting away a lot of the functionality. I know we haven't really covered that much here, but I just wanted to show you how you deploy an application, expose that information there. But really, like, this is in itself an entire course. But yeah, I'll look at the exam guide, and if it requires more work for us to do here, we will do it. But we should probably take a look at kubectl separately here. But I'm going to make another video where we're just going to delete this cluster for now. Not the deployment, the entire cluster. Let's see if it'll take everything down if we do that. And let's take a look if we do it standard mode, because I want to see what it looks like to manage nodes, because that's normally the way that we'd normally do it. But I'm going to checkbox this here. We'll say delete. And I'm hoping that it takes the whole thing. There we go. And if we hover over this, the cluster is being deleted. So I'm going to wait for that to delete, just in case it fails to delete, but we're going to wait until that deletes, okay? All right, there we go. The cluster cleaned up, no problem. And again, the next one will not use Autopilot. We'll use just the standard way of deploying and seeing what it's like to actually have nodes underneath that we have to manage, okay? Ciao, ciao.